Hey everyone, I'm Sarah, and I'm going to be talking about J. Frank Norris. I've never heard of him until we did our some reading on him, so I found it really, really interesting. So he was one of the key figures in the fundamentalist modernist controversy, and his career really shows the intensity of the conflict between these two sides. I found a primary source in the Washington Post that was dated July 19th, 1926 in the Chronicle American Newspaper Archive. And this is going to give us a glimpse into how his actions were seen at the time. So the headline talks about Norris taking a strong stand against what he saw as Catholic influencers in the public school, which was part of his larger fight to defend what he believed were biblical, which is American values. Now, I would say he was an extremist when it came to this stuff, but just to back up a little bit and look at the fundamentalist modernist controversy, this is going to be a major divide within American Christianity in the early 1900s. And on one side, you had fundamentalists who believe in a literal interpretation of the Bible, traditional doctrine like the virgin birth, the resurrection of Jesus, and the belief that the scripture is completely without error. And on the other side, you have modernists, which are trying to adapt Christianity to fit into the life which they see fit. So with modern science, morality, and a changing culture. And then they're going to be more open to the ideas of evolution. And that's how we had the Scopes trial, right? So the Scopes trial is going to say that evolution was not allowed to be taught in the schools. This was in Dayton, Tennessee, I believe, in 1925. And a teacher, John Scope, taught about evolution. And this is going to become a huge national event because fundamentalists, William Jennings Bryan, argues about the prosecution, and then we have Clarence Darrow who defends Scope. And basically it's going to symbolize the clash between traditional Christian values and modern science. So Norris wasn't directly involved in the Scopes trial, but his preaching and public battles show the same mindset. Like many other fundamentalists, he sees evolution and liberal theology as a direct attack on biblical truth. And it makes sense that in 1926, a year after the Scopes trial, he's still making headlines accusing public schools to promote these ideas that are going to go against scripture. So he was all in, like I said, personally, I think an extremist on the fundamentalist side. He was a fiery Baptist preacher. He pastored two huge churches. One was in Fort Worth, Texas, and then one in Detroit, Michigan. And he wasn't known for preaching. He was going to use the media to his advantage. So he has his own newspaper, his use of radio, and he's constantly stirring the pot in these public debates. Then the article I found in the Washington Times showing that he's claiming that there's going to be Catholic control over education. And while that sounds random, it made sense in his world because he's believing that anything out of the Protestant fundamentalist was a threat to the truth. So his leadership was popular with some people, but also rightfully so, extremely controversial because he wasn't just chill. And he wasn't afraid to cause division, and if he thought that meant defending the Bible, that he was not afraid for that. So he was a major force in large battles between fundamentalists and modernists, and his whole life basically was to fight to keep Christian beliefs at the center of the American life, which I can't blame him. So he was a key player in the old and the new ways of thinking and how people responded to him. And this kind of helps us understand these controversies and how personal it was for people at that time. So thanks for listening. Bye.